Recording it back up.
All right. And Peter, why don't you start us this week?
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast, episode 218. This episode is another very special episode because we are blurring the lines between podcasts. Because not only is this Blurring the Lines, this is also Friends with Brews, episode to be determined in a moment. I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis. With me, as always, is my co-host, Adam Bell. And with me, as always, on the other side of the fence for Friends with Brews, my co-host, Scott Willsey. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Blurring the Brews.
Scott?
Will you say the episode number will be determined in a moment? It won't be determined in a moment. It'll be determined some point in the future when I look at my recordings and I look at what I already have and
I guess I gave you too much credit. I thought you could
Yeah,
determine.
you-
I thought usually you're just like, it's episode 46. I'm like, how would I know that? We released like 14 in a row. I don't need, okay, whatever.
No, I don't have the reply guy energy today.
Well, the good thing is, we don't have to talk about Scott. We can talk to Scott in the podcast today.
You can talk about me too if you want to.
Yeah. We do. We just have
It doesn't stop other people from doing it just because I'm there. You might as well not be any different.
It's just usually we have questions. They're like, well, Scott would know the answer to this, and we've got to wait for you to listen to the podcast, and then you answer it for us.
Sadly, a lot of times I don't have the answers.
Well, you better have them today, mister.
I feel pressure. I feel like I should be charging you, but at the same time, I feel like you're going to charge me because I'm not going to know the answers.
Well, there's plenty of misinformation out there, so you can just
That's
make it up.
true. You know what? You are absolutely right. Why do I even think I have to be correct? Why do I even think I have to know? I'm just going to toss stuff out there.
Mhm.
I'll speak with
It
the
works for some
confidence
people.
I'll speak with the exact confidence of a middle-aged white man who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Perfect. Yeah. And you can target that to women too. Just make it a mansplaining podcast. It'll be great.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Well,
Blur-splaining. Speaking of
Blur-spraining.
spraining, Peter, how's it
Yeah.
going?
Are you ready to bleep things out? Because it's going excrementally.
excrementally.
Yeah. So y'all will recall, listeners to both podcasts and hosts of both podcasts will recall that I had rotator cuff surgery earlier this year.
But you didn't need it.
Oh no, I needed it, and apparently now I need more. So, in the words of George Costanza, it didn't take. So,
Is it because of your running?
no,
Did you break it
uh,
running?
Great.
no,
Thanks to that George Costanza reference, now I'm picturing Peter in his underwear saying, I just got out of the pool, or whatever he said.
can't stand you.
Significant
So,
shrinkage.
Yeah.
apparently, that's what happened. Is apparently the
Yeah,
the
you had
tendons
rotator cuff
and the
shrinkage.
patches that they put in shrank. That's pretty much it. So yeah, one of the places where it attaches to the bone didn't hold, and so yeah, it just kind of broke. It was a few weeks ago. I was in bed, yawning and stretching, and I felt a sharp pain and a loud pop, and that was that.
Yikes.
They didn't use the right duct tape or the right staples.
Pretty much.
How do they
So,
attach that?
Not very well.
anchors, and there are like I found out. I didn't even realize. I mean, I knew I had these things called anchors, but then I went to get an MRI on the shoulder earlier this week, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you've got all these different kinds," and they're like the make, the model, and the serial number of each of these little screws is in
Wow.
there. So I've got these little. I think they're titanium. I don't even know what they are, but I've got these little things in my shoulder.
I would think they're titanium, yeah. They're definitely something that's rust proof, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
just speak it with authority, Scott. It sure is
Yep.
titanium.
They're definitely rust proof, and I'll tell you exactly how they put them in. No.
I think it's a nickel copper alloy. It turns green over time.
Yeah.
I thought it was cadmium, but okay. Hmm.
You will get greener
way,
as you get older.
They installed an entire copper pipe system into your body.
Well, they did that at my house in Vermont too, and I don't know what's going on with that. Oh,
Seriously?
perfect timing.
Copper?
Seriously, this is my my surgeon's office calling, so I'm going to take this call.
All right. Well,
Tell them they're being recorded.
We'll talk about Peter anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
Well, what about Adam? We have a lot to talk about Adam because I don't know how much, I don't remember. I should know because I've listened, but I don't remember how much updating you've done people on what your current work balance. I won't say work-life balance, but your work balance because you're basically doing two different jobs right now with between the farm and the computer.
Yeah. So the work balance, we're, it's sorting itself out as far as, I sold Sublime, I've joined the 20, and they have every roll up, we're considered a roll up, a company that was part of the 20 but rolled up now to be part of the big MSP. One of the dilemmas is they're getting these business owners, myself, business owner, and they're like, okay, what position do we want to put Adam in? He can't be the CEO. We have one of those, you know. So we're
And he's
trying
very
to figure.
protective of his job.
Yeah. And he owns the majority of the shares, and so he's got a big stick to prevent me from taking his job.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how did this guy, obviously he convinced everybody to join his cartel, but how did he do it? Like how did this
Oh,
guy, how come this guy managed to be in charge of this cartel instead of you, Adam? I guess that's where I'm going with this.
I step away for 1 minute, and now Adam's no longer part of a nationwide MSP. He's part of a cartel in South
Well, you
America.
got to remember,
What did I miss?
I've been finishing up something I started a long time ago, which is Narcos Mexico on Netflix. So now every group of people, every agreements, every coalition is a cartel to me now. So
So what he started an MSP just like I did. Really, he was about in the life cycle of the MSP about 8 years into it, longer than me. Um, and he had some good success, and so he started the concept of the co-op. So let's pretend the three of us are MSPs, and he just came up with the idea of, hey, why are we all buying our tools separately? Why don't I negotiate the tools? I'll buy enough for all of us, and then you guys just pay me for the tools, and we're going to get a better deal because we can buy in bulk. And that's how it started, and that's how it really got going. And then, he brought the idea up of, why don't we just merge together and become a huge company? Well, part of that concept is it's not just we're now three partners. I bought Peter's business, I bought Scott's business, and now it's part of it. And so that's how I ended up not being a CEO, just kind of on high level.
right.
But
Yep.
plus he had the money to buy me. I didn't have the money to buy them, or vice versa. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, I had to come to a decision. He's got a whole, and he's a salesman. He really is a good salesman. Um, and he's got this whole salesy pitch of, do you want to be rich or do you want to be the king? And it gives a whole story about, the dukes are the ones who have the money and really run the country and everything else. And it's a compelling story. It's fun to listen to. I mean, I didn't buy into that for my
But
own personal.
he's given you that choice. He's given you that you need to make a choice between being the Duke or being rich,
Yeah.
whatever the leader type you said. He's choosing to try to be both.
He is, but he's also talked about how when he moves forward, because we're building this thing to sell. So he's not even planning on running this forever.
Oh,
He,
interesting. He's going to sell even higher. That's going to be somebody big. That's got to be a
yeah,
big company.
yeah, it's going to be a big acquisition. So the plan is to turn around and sell this company to a bigger company, and at that point, he has admitted, I'm not the CEO to run this. I don't know how to run. I mean, it's one thing because his company before he ever got going, he was in the $10 million range, 17 million around there, gotten his company there, and then as the 20 grows to 70 million, $150 million company, that company's one thing. $1 billion company is a totally different creature. And you just got to really know how to run that. And he has said, I don't know how to run that. So when that time comes, I'm going to get the CEO who can run this thing.
Are there, I wonder who would buy that business? Because it's a bit of a different, because you guys are very you're directly client oriented in a way that I don't picture huge companies like CloudStrike being. I mean, they kind of are. It just seems different to me. I'm curious as to how the model that you guys have right now with your clients works for somebody gigantic that wants to come in and swoop it up and be huge, and then ultimately blue screen everybody's Windows box later on down the line.
Like the crowd strike them. No,
Yes.
it is, I mean, it is a natural evolution. Uh, there are there are systems in place right now to where so like my regional company that I had in Tennessee is being treated a bit differently than a national company. And it will probably, I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, if I were in charge, I would imagine that there are going to be the SMB market side of it, and then there's going to be the enterprise side of it, and they will be treated completely differently, completely different. And I just think that you wouldn't want to throw away the SMB market because it does represent a big market share. uh, we've talked about Pumpkin Plan, right? Mike
Maybe.
Yeah,
Michalowicz, the book.
we
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't remember the
So,
pumpkin. Sorry.
so I mean, I would imagine that there will be a pumpkin planning part of that where there's SMB and then
Hmm.
there's mom and pop SMB. I
Yeah.
imagine that the mom and pop SMB will slide all the way off and it will be SMB slash mid slash enterprise,
Yeah.
because doing business with mid-size is a lot easier and more realistic than trying to do that on the mom and pop. And they're like, I want to spend $200, but I want the same service that, you give that, $1 million company right there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why would you buy something that you have to spend 10 times more time on for the same amount of money or
Yeah,
maybe
I
a
mean,
little bit
I
less?
guess excuse me, it comes down to, just allocation of resources, and that was when I had my small business when, we did a lot of break fix computing and, computer support and stuff. I never had a formal way of pruning the dead weight, except that, at the end of the year, I would just look at the graph. Scott, you're thinking about that famous episode of Speeding in Reverse, entitled
Peter fires
Peter
his
Fires His
customers.
Clients. Yeah. Um, but the way we just did it was we looked at who's at the bottom rung, who are the ones that are well, back up a step. We had this graph. On the bottom it was the like meter, and on the y-axis was how much money, how much profit.
mm-hmm.
So an arbitrary sense of like how much do we like working with this customer, and then a quantitative value of how much they paid. And if you were high and to the right, like a former president, then we're good because we're making money and we like working with you. And if you were not one of those things, then we would have to basically revisit what are the options. And if you were not profitable and we didn't like working with you, then you're gone, right? But it always, whenever I think of something like that, I think about like, well, couldn't there be a division that handles the mom and pop SMB shop, right? But still, you need to allocate resources to that. And if you can make significantly more by dropping them and focusing those resources on your bigger accounts,
Yeah.
You know, if your point of being in business is to make money, then that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't see, I guess I just don't see a lot of companies that are going to buy a big enterprise business and maybe medium-sized SMB as people that also want the mom and pop stuff. I just don't
You know,
imagine that is that wrong?
I didn't think so either. But when you start looking at big IT companies, there's a lot more big IT companies out there than I thought. I mean, Peter's part of a head. I mean, they're big. You look at Robert Herjavec's company. I mean, they're over $100 million company, and he's security alone.
Yeah, I was gonna
Hmm.
say they're not that big, except he got acquired. His that the their SOC got acquired a couple of years back,
Hmm.
which made them a lot bigger than they used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a bigger, I mean, you're right, there's still more volume in the smaller size, but it's a bigger market than I originally thought it was. Because I guess I don't see those people, and I think it has to do more with those larger companies. They don't look at mom and pop for IT support. So they're going bigger right off the bat. So they're not even, we're not in the
Yeah,
same
that's true.
ecosphere.
Sure, sure, sure. I guess, yeah, I guess it just depends on who the buyer is as to how interested they are in saying, okay, that's fine. We'll keep this part of it, but I don't ever want to hear about it. You go run this and don't bother me with the details. Make money.
Yeah. So do you know, I can tell you who's interested in that. VC, venture capital, and
Oh.
uh, uh,
Now, why you gotta use bad words on this podcast, Adam?
well, because what they want to do is they want to buy an industry, a grouping industry that is making money that they can buy, hold on to it, make a profit, then turn around and sell it.
Hmm.
And this is more going to be interested in the private equity side than it is going to be in the venture capital because of that. They're going to say, we're going to group these together, we're going to make some more efficiencies here, and then we're going to turn around and sell it to somebody else for, a
Yeah,
billion and a
yeah.
half.
I don't like the word efficiencies.
I was gonna say,
Bad
and by
things happen
efficiencies,
whenever somebody says efficiencies. Bad things happen. They efficiently get rid of people.
exactly.
We're going to replace you with a guy from no, just we're just not going to replace you.
Yeah.
That's
Here.
way efficient. Hey, look, it
See
works great for Twitter.
see this Python script? This now does your job.
Mhm. So going back to part of your original question is,
Hmm.
doing the two gigs. It
Yeah.
being part of the larger company, it has is starting to reduce some of my stress and also some of my uh I don't know what you want, schizophrenic, things that I have to do as a business owner. I got to wear this hat, I got to wear that hat,
Yeah.
I got to be thinking about marketing, I got to be thinking
Yeah.
about tech,
There's
human
certain things you
resource.
don't have to do just to stay alive now that you were doing before.
Yeah. And so I think I'm getting close to, almost having a normal mental health, at least for a short period of time, of focusing on one job. It doesn't mean that's the only thing that I do, but focusing on one job instead of all of the other things. And I think that will be healthy for me for a season.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. I don't think I want
Especially
to.
because you do have the farm to think about too. And I assume that, it takes energy, it takes time.
Hmm. Yeah, we were down there last weekend before last, and we've sent plants off for testing and thinking about marketing, thinking about webs. So like you said, it's a
Testing,
business.
why do you have to? Hey, all regulations going to be dismantled pretty soon. You won't have to worry about any of that. It's going to be
Oh,
wonderful.
well, I don't think these regulations include fungus.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So we
You're
want to
saying
make,
the plant, you can't avoid the fact that the plant actually has to be functional for intended purpose.
yeah, yeah. No, we
Okay.
had we have some. I mean, plants. You always plan on a number of plants dying when you plant them. We just want to make sure because we lost 2,000 plants to a fungus. And so we want to make sure the new plants in the new field do not also have this fungus. So we took a couple of the dead plants and sent them off to Tennessee Department of Agriculture, and we're waiting to
Gotcha.
Confirm, because if they have fungus too, that means none of our fields are fungus free and we need a new product.
What's the history on this fungus problem? Is this something new? Because I know that the climate as climate is changing, I know that fungus is also more able to grow in certain places that it didn't grow before. I know that it's a problem for other people, but is this something that's just traditional and you guys knew about it, or it's a known thing in the industry, or is it changing a little bit?
So yes, um, the fungus that we're talking about is called a Phytophthora, and that is what caused the potato famine back in way back when. So Phytophthora exists kind of like everywhere, but whether it can bloom or not, it's got to have the right conditions. It's got to have plenty of
Hmm.
water. And lavender doesn't like a lot of water anyway. It's a drought tolerant plant, so it wants to be in soil that gets rain, but when it rains, it passes on through and leaves and doesn't sit in water. Well, our field last July, we got rain every single day in July. Um, and the plants stayed wet and the fungus bloomed and it
Hmm.
just ate everything. So the plants that survived were on high ground so that the natural slope of the land, we thought we
Yeah,
had mitigated this by planting it on a hillside. But because it rained every day, the plants at the top got it and then it just pushed that fungus down all over them. But the
sure.
plants on the high spots survived. So we replanted using high spots, we humped the fields to keep the plants out of the water if water
Hmm.
occurs. This year, we didn't get much rain. So, yes, we got more rain because of environmental change, um, and the fungus bloomed. Now, part of the other dilemma is we can put down fungicide, but we have to know which kind to put down. And the problem is, lavender is not a major crop of Tennessee, so no research has been done. So whatever fungicide I put down, I've got to do the research on my own and make a best effort. And if I find
Yeah,
what works, then I publish it.
I see. So even when you get the test results and you know what the fungus was, that doesn't necessarily help you
Right.
in
Right.
terms of what fungicide to use. Oh, okay.
So they could, I mean, we could make a good guess, but the problem is everything takes time. Because I put a lavender plant in the spring, I got to wait all year to see if it's going to survive. And if
Yep.
it doesn't survive, I got to start over and do it another year. And
Yeah, you could. That's gonna be a multi-year project just to run through a tiny number of possibilities.
yeah, so
Hmm. You sounds like you need a laboratory somewhere, Adam.
yeah, I need a lab and apparently a lot more time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Ah,
Wow. I I don't know why I imagined that being a lavender farmer was going to be relaxing and full of joy.
Low key and
Yeah.
just we just go out and smell the lavender and it
Yeah.
it is nice though, especially on an evening where there's just little to no breeze, but not bad outside. The whole valley just smells like lavender, and that's pretty
Mhm.
cool. So that's fun. Well, do you want to talk about some tech stuff?
Let's.
Um, okay.
Well, I've I don't know if we'll go into my lap or my iPhone 16 recap. Might do that on just a Peter and me episode, but I did. This might be valuable to you. So I did. So I got the iPhone 16. I had the iPhone 14, and I gave the iPhone 14 to my daughter. And you can't get the phones activated after hours. It's got to be during business hours. So
Mm.
when I transferred my phone, I called in, I called after hours. The automated system says, "Tell me your eSIM number," and I tell them the eSIM and my phone activated. No problem. Well, I tried the same thing with my daughters and it wouldn't go. Um, and what happened is the iPhones now, at least with Verizon, are able to have, it's probably every phone, but the Verizon phones are now able to have two phone numbers. And so what happened is when the migration occurred, it tried to associate the second phone number and the second eSIM to be her primary number. She didn't have a second number, so there was no phone number associated and it couldn't activate. So I had to call in. And once I got the Verizon tech and I explained to him what was going on, he was able to quickly do that. So if you're going to migrate your phone, make sure you do it during the day when you can call in to get them to do that, or you'll be without the phone overnight for sure. And it'll work on Wi-Fi, but
Yeah,
so
activation is still a pain. When it works, it works. It's great. And, but it's either going to go, wow, that was so smooth, I hardly had to do anything, or I'm in for several days of hell.
yeah. I miss just taking the SIM out of the phone and plugging it into the other phone. I miss
Uh,
that, but
the
I
good
also
old
like the
days.
eSIM. The good old days. Well, and you used to be able to go into the Verizon website and enter in your SIM. You just, okay, I'll just enter it in.
Hmm.
And I guess that probably led to too many problems for non-technical people.
Yeah. Well, I have a slight tech rant, but I'll keep it short, I
Okay.
promise. And yeah, of course, all of our regular listeners are like, what, Peter? A tech rant? Unheard of. Today, anyway.
Hmm.
So, as you know, I have an Ecobee, and generally I use Apple HomeKit to control stuff. Several weeks ago, my Ecobee just stopped working, and this happens all the time. It'll complain, your thermostat is offline. Nothing has changed, right? I haven't changed my wireless equipment. I haven't changed the Ecobee. I haven't even touched the Ecobee app. And I have not changed like wireless passwords or anything, right? But it's just decided, nope, we can't connect to your network. Re-enter. And it gives me two options. One is you connect to the Wi-Fi network from the Ecobee via your phone and do some magic, which never works, or you manually enter the password, which I always have to do, which is a pain because I have a big, long, gnarly password. So we did this a few weeks ago. I re-entered the password and now it suddenly works. Okay, fine. Doesn't work in HomeKit. And I don't remember exactly what I did, but I re-entered it again and it worked in HomeKit, but it wouldn't connect on the Ecobee app anymore. And I said, well, screw that. I don't need the Ecobee app. If the HomeKit works, that's fine. Come to find out, for the last few weeks, I hadn't realized that my flare vents, I have smart vents integrated with the Ecobee, they had not been opening and closing. And my stress level about this whole thing had gone way down because I wasn't worried. Nothing was happening, right? I wasn't thinking about the vents. I wasn't thinking about the thermostat. Everything was just working. That was great. Well, come to think of it, so a few days ago I realized, oh, the vents are all offline because the Ecobee says that it's offline. Now this whole time I'm controlling it through HomeKit just fine. So it is most certainly not offline. Right? So, because I'm controlling it over the internet, I'm in Vermont. I can set the air conditioning on it back at home. That works fine. I also didn't realize that I had stopped getting notifications for my back door being opened and closed because I have an Ecobee door sensor on that. Now, that's one issue. Second issue, ever since I think iOS 18, the automatic rules that I have for focus have not been reliable. Most predominantly, when I go to sleep, it does not set sleep mode, sleep focus. I have to do that manually most nights. Sometimes it seems to do it, most nights it doesn't.
Wait,
Last
what's the
night,
trigger? What's your trigger supposed to be? How's it supposed to know that you're going to sleep and do it automatically?
it's like according to the sleep schedule in the health app.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it's supposed to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
follow
yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
which it
Yeah,
always
yeah,
used to
that's
do,
right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just stopped doing that. And I was like, okay, whatever. And a couple of times, usually I notice it's like, because I get a late night text from Scott because you're 3 hours behind us. And I'm like, I'm going to go to sleep. And then I manually type to sleep. Well, last night at 3:58 a.m., I got something I haven't gotten for a long time. I got a note from an alert from Ecobee saying that my back door sensor reported that the door was open at 2 minutes before 4 a.m.
Well, that's good
And
to
I'm
know.
like,
Peter, you might want to check on that.
yeah, you think. Now, I happen to have insomnia last night because of, a plethora of reasons, not limited to the political climate or the shoulder or any other number of stuff going on. So I immediately opened up the home app and I looked and I didn't see anything. I turned on all the lights down on the first floor, didn't see anything. And then I just pieced it together that after several weeks of being offline, the Ecobee just decided like, oh wait, right? You're right. That Wi-Fi password that you've had that you haven't changed in 3 years, that's always been working. You're right. That still does work. I am online. And it decided to report to me like the last time that the door had opened and closed. And yeah, it was helpful.
I am amazed by your Ecobee problems because I have an older Ecobee that's pre-Alexa,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no problems with it ever,
This thing is
ever.
garbage.
You
It's
have good.
just garbage.
I'm not quite sure how
Oh,
to help you with that.
thanks, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
Speaking of Alexa,
Hey, Alexa, Adam wants you to keep talking forever.
did you guys know Alexa is 10 years old now?
Yep.
I listened to that episode of the Verge cast the other day. It was entertaining. So,
The technician inside of me, I can't hold it in. You do have multiple DNS servers, right, for your wireless scope?
I'd have to double check on my Eero settings here and let's find out. But the thing is, like,
you mean
no other devices are having problems. When the Ecobee says I'm offline, I'm surfing the web and everything's working just fine.
Adam, do you mean multiple services or multiple IP addresses?
Multiple IP addresses in the DNS.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think
the reason I say that is because I just encountered an issue with a firewall. And the firewall has logic built into it that it connects, it's doing a VPN into the service. And the service was, it's a Linux box. The Linux box service was not running. So it couldn't call in home. So I wonder if there's a service on that Ecobee unit that is not running and not calling home, because it's got to be doing a VPN connection to the Ecobee over your network.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be a DNS issue. It may just be a service that's not starting.
Yeah. So I do have two. I've got Cloudflare and Quad 9. Those are the DNSs that I'm assigning by default.
Okay. So it's not a DNS issue.
I don't think so. Who the heck knows? It's an Ecobee issue. So there you go. Grumble. Did you guys realize with the release of the latest watch OS, and you heard about the Series 10, how the Series 10 lets you play music through the speakers?
I thought that it already did that.
I was not aware of that.
I think it. Oh, I don't know if it would do music or not through it.
My Ultra 2 can play music now through the speakers.
Yeah.
I found that out quite by accident once because I was out for a run and my AirPods helpfully disconnected. And I had just told it to play music and the AirPods went bong and suddenly I heard music and I was like, wait, what? And I looked down and my watch was playing music. My Ultra.
The AirPods Pro are so amazing most of the time. They're so amazing. But Apple, you've got to... Do they even use their own stuff? Seriously, because has anyone at Apple ever been walking along and suddenly their headphones are disconnecting and connecting to something else? Or they get a phone call, they've been listening to something in their ears with their AirPods, they get a phone call and it goes, I'm not going to use the AirPods for that. Congratulations, you can miss everything this person's saying and they're going to hang up on you in frustration.
And
it's just stupid. It's just incredible.
Right, and that's not an occasional thing. Like,
no.
It's reliable. When I get a phone call, it will not get picked up on the AirPods. It goes right to the handset and I'm like talking and people can't hear me. And then I look down and I'm like, oh, of course.
Somebody called me the other day and it did actually work. But I think it's the first time I remember already having my AirPods Pro in, listening to something, and the phone call stayed on the AirPods Pro. And I was so stunned that I didn't even know who was calling me or what they were talking about. And they were like, hello, hello. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm on a phone call. Because I was just thinking about the fact that it worked. What happened? What changed? And I don't even remember who it was now. I doubt that. I hope it wasn't important. I hope it wasn't anything about the end of the world or my life or anything, because I didn't hear a word they said.
It was
So
probably someone telling you to vote for them.
Oh, yeah.
So do you know
Probably.
how I deal with that? I mean, I just lower my expectations and expect that they won't work.
I know, but see, here's the thing. Years and years and years ago, not too long after I started using the Mac again, this was back when it was OS 10 and it was Tiger 10.4, 10.3, 10.4. Everything worked all the time. And I would occasionally get a piece of software that would do weird things. And the Windows users in my life would always say, that's just how computers work. And I'm like, no, it isn't. What are you babbling about? Your computer works that way because you're okay with that. The problem is Apple software is so freaking buggy now that I think all of humanity has just given up and said, this is how computers work. And we've enabled these companies to ship stuff that just doesn't work, but it doesn't really matter because no one cares. Everyone on the planet thinks that's just computers.
But it's
And
not just that though. I mean, it's things like business, customer service,
yeah,
government. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
everything just doesn't work. The trains don't run on time, and everybody knows that.
Actually, I shouldn't say it's just everybody on Earth. It's probably the people in the space station too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating because I grant you that things are a lot more complicated than they were all those years ago, for sure. But I also do think that we could do a better job on software if we were willing to go slower and just make sure the basic things worked instead of every year we have to have new features or, whatever it is. I don't know. I think things could be better. That's my personal opinion. But again, I asked me to write software and I'm sure I'll give you a buggy piece of crap that doesn't work. So I guess I can't really talk.
Yeah.
Sigh.
So, well,
But you're right. That actually is the sensible response, Adam, because what else can you do? You can't fix their software for them.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I have found I just kind of have to find the special sauce of how a particular thing is going to work
Yeah.
and then do it that way and don't
Yeah.
I've talked a lot of times about I listen to Audible all the time.
Hmm.
I like listening to it on my watch because I don't have to carry a phone when I walk the dog. And I
Yeah.
have figured out my series of it's got to be this way or it's not going to work. And if I don't have it that way, don't even try. Just take the phone,
Yep.
put it in my pocket and go because it will not work if I go at it this way. And
Yeah. It's not, life's too short to fight it, especially for people like us that we work with computers all day long. The last thing we want to be doing in our spare time is troubleshooting our personal stuff or troubleshooting all our family stuff or constantly. I think I just about snapped one day when I came home from work and I'd just been fighting stupid things all day. And then my family was like, hey, there's this thing that doesn't work. And I'm like, and they're like, but you don't have to look at it now. And I'm like, you can't tell me that and expect my brain not to want to fix it now. It doesn't work that way. I'm very sorry.
Yep.
uh,
So, what is Splash Top, Adam? Because I genuinely don't remember. Apparently, according to your co-host and mine, Peter Nikolaidis, Peter and I podcasted about this a long time ago on Pocket Size Podcast, and I don't even know what it is anymore.
So I use ConnectWise Screen Connect for work.
Hmm.
Splash Top is a competitor to ConnectWise. I would say
Oh,
it's not equivalent, but it is a competitor. And my experience so far is has been positive. I just started testing it today. I've been trying it. So it works on the Mac, works on
yeah.
the Windows. I was able to remotely connect to the Mac and vice versa. So that's always a positive. It does the wake on LAN. That's important to me. it's just not as rich as Screen Connect or well, ConnectWise, Screen Connect. There's a lot of you can do a terminal session in Screen Connect. You can do, they call it a backstage, and it's like this PE boot into the back of the Windows operating system. So
Hmm.
you call me, you say you're having a problem, and I can connect to your computer using Backstage. Obviously, it's using resources, and I've got
Yeah.
this PE environment that I could be working on your computer while you're working on it. It's pretty slick.
Even a client, I mean, we're not talking about a server with a admin port, an ILO port or whatever. You're talking about a regular computer.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah. So it is pretty slick.
Hmm.
But Splashtop is a scaled down version of that, but it does have the primary features that I found so far. My dilemma is I have my because when I owned Sublime, I had all of this stuff and I had my own private section of ConnectWise. Well, I need to get my personal stuff out of ConnectWise. I need to, because somebody else is going
Yeah.
to take over that instance and
Hmm.
they don't need access to my personal other business computers. So I'm finding another solution. And it's not that bad price for it's an annual, and I think it's $159 for 10 computers that I could manage under that. Um,
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like oh yeah. Oh, I'm just looking at their remote desktop and access price, and it's like 149 per user billed annually,
hmm
or
And it's
$99 per user billed annually if you do the Business Access Pro. Yeah.
and it does the dual monitors. I do like
Yeah.
that, especially if I'm
Hmm.
on dual monitors and I'm connecting to a dual monitor, then I can work it. Um, I don't care about sound passing. I sound
Right.
I don't want
Yeah.
that to pass. I don't want mic to pass, but it does offer that as an option.
Yep.
Um, I mean,
Oh, you
remote
can even
desktop,
record your session,
yeah, yeah, you can.
Hmm.
multiple
So,
users into one computer. That is nice. I will say now I remember what this is. And I think my lack of enthusiasm at the time was I I don't remember if this was as business oriented as it is now. It makes sense that it is now.
mhm.
And then the other thing is I just didn't really have a need for it. But now I've used Zoho and I've used ConnectWise. And by the way, I gotta say ConnectWise is so much better than Zoho because there'd be tons of times with Zoho or Zoom screen sharing for that matter where you just can't see certain dialog boxes. You can't do stuff. I've never had that problem with ConnectWise where I'm telling the other person, "Hey, I think there's a dialog box on your screen because I can't do anything anymore. Can you please tell me what it says?" And
But you know the problem that I have had with Screen Connect is it doesn't always render on Mac when I'm trying to control a Mac. So when I try to come back to my Mac,
uh-huh,
remember those days? It's
uh-huh.
not reliable. I can't reliably get control of my Mac via
Oh,
Screen.
interesting.
When
I
is the
have
last time you tried that?
it's
It's got to be like a month or so.
I've
Because I've
tried it on
never
other
had that.
people's Macs, Peter, and I've never had that problem with other
Yeah,
people's Macs.
for me it is. That's where the Zoho was a lot more reliable for me.
Now,
Yeah, I've been
remember, you're using a MacBook Air that struggles to run Discord, so that could be part of your problem.
Yeah, but it runs Zoho, so you know.
Yeah, it may be lighter or maybe the resolution. I don't know because um, that's all I've ever run for remotely connecting to my Macs, and I've never had any problem. I've been using
Yeah.
it for a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
this looks pretty good, Adam. Splashed
what
up.
I didn't see is does it support Linux?
Linus. Does Linus approve?
Does Linus approve? I don't know. But I only use. I mean, I like the idea of firing up a Linux box, but then I use it and then I'm
Linux is great for things like servers and little, you know, business servers and little home servers and stuff like that. Things where it's going to be running in the background. You can poke around and configure it to your heart's content. And there's tons of information on the internet about any question you might have. Why I running it personally? Why? You're just basically giving up a ton of stuff that you can do on your Mac that you will never be able to do on Linux. And I don't care what Linus and his friends say, you just can't. And I'm sorry, but GIMP is not, no, that's not the photo editor I'm going to use. I'm sorry.
Then again, I mean, I haven't paid for Adobe Photoshop in well over a decade, so.
I haven't either, but I'm not. But I paid one time for what are they called? Designer Affinity stuff. I have Affinity. Those are really, really good. And you pay one time and you're done. I mean, occasionally they have an upgrade, but I haven't had to pay for an upgrade in forever. Uh, and once in a while you got to pay for an upgrade. Software people can't, like, you can't have a high quality, intensive piece of software that you sell people one time and never charge them any money again and expect that to be a great business plan for the rest of your life. At some point, you'll probably need some recurring revenue from existing customers.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that.
Well, have you ever come home to find a sheriff's notification on your door to give them a call?
No, but we've had weird sheriff activities in our neighborhood at various times. But no, we've never had the note on the door.
So
Well, why, Adam? Why are you being instructed? Hey, at least you came home with your door still intact.
yeah,
It wasn't bashed in,
It was-
laying on the floor with a
with a
note
note.
saying, "Hey, give us a call."
You weren't here. We didn't believe you weren't here, but
Yeah.
give us a call when you get back. And,
Yeah.
and no, we won't be paying for the door.
Yeah.
You will be paying for the door.
Yeah.
You will be paying for your door.
No, when we first moved in to this, I mean, we moved into this house in 2007. When we first moved in, the previous owner, he got into some like financial troubles and divorce troubles, and it was kind of the reason we ended up getting the house, is they were splitting up. And but there was a sheriff's note on the door to call them, and so I called them. I mean, back then I called them. I said, you're looking for the previous owner. He's not here. He's moved on. You don't have to come back here to try to look for him ever. I mean, because he's not here. We're not friends. We're not
He still
family.
won't be here every time you come back.
Yeah, he's not gonna be here. And they were very friendly. I mean, there was no animosity towards that. They were like, okay, thank you for letting us know. They don't want to waste time either.
Mm-hmm.
So I got home last week, and there's a orange like note on my door, or a card on my door, and they're trying to reach Adam Bell, and it gave the sheriff's name and his direct phone number. And of course, like, I'm a cybersecurity guy, I'm not calling the phone number on the card. So I'm thinking, oh, it's the same thing. So I call the sheriff's department and I say I need to be connected to this guy, and they're like, well, hang on, what department is he in? I'm like, I don't know. I just, I've got the card.
Yeah.
And
He works for you guys?
yeah. And they're like, okay, oh, here he is. I found him. So that's a criminal warrant. So let me get you over to that department. And I'm like, all right. And they get me over in this department, and it's, criminal warrant department. I'm like, maybe I need to get my lawyer on this phone call. So he said, well, hang on, let me get him. And he's like, hold on, let me look this up. Let me figure out which one this is. And because I really was thinking, I'm like, well, if there's a criminal warrant for me, I'm going to find out what it is, and then I really am going to call my lawyer. I'm not going to talk or come in or, and it really was much more benign than that. He said, well, I'm looking for so and so for wage garnishment, and they put that they worked at Sublime Computer Services. And I said, oh, good. Okay. So now that I can, my blood pressure's gone back down. Like, that dude never worked at Sublime. He said, well, how do you know? I said, well, I'm the business owner. I said, and I hired every single employee that's ever worked at Sublime. I said, technically I sold the business in July, but this person never worked at Sublime. Well, maybe they work for the new company. I'm like, well, maybe they do, but they were never a Sublime Computer Services employee, and Sublime Computer Services no longer exists. So
Yeah, they could never have worked for that company.
yeah. So And it was a big garnishment too. It's like, well, it's like a $16,000 garnishment we want to put on. And I'm like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I'd love to see you succeed, but I can't help you.
Yeah. But he was I mean, once again, really friendly and professional. And when I explained it to him logically, he understood it logically. It wasn't, okay, sir, so we'll be by later.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. We know he's in your closet right now, sir. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder where he came up with the name Sublime. Why he picked you to claim that he worked there.
Yeah, yeah, I don't
I
know.
dealt with a couple of claims. It was just I got calls back when, when I was based in Vermont, and I had employees, and every now and then it happened at least twice. Vermont Department of Labor would call and say, "Yeah, we're just verifying employment so we can, someone can collect unemployment." And I was just like, "Yeah, I've never heard of this person." Oh, but they say they were an employee. I'm like, "Okay, I've still never heard of them."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still the guy who would have hired him. I'm still the guy who knows who works for me.
Yep.
So I got one of those. So we had a guy that he was in his 90-day probation. 2 weeks in, he just doesn't show up to work. And so we just fired him. We're like, you're
Hmm.
not, I mean, you're in your night. Come on.
Yeah,
You can't just not show
yeah.
up to work. And so we're not going to go any further with this, and fired him. And so that was January 23rd of this year. In like June, I get a notification from Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development saying this person has claimed unemployment for starting January 30th. So, well, that's fine. He didn't work here January 30th. He was fired January 23rd. He worked for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
They ignored my email and notification to them that I filled out in their portal disputing it, and I didn't pay any attention to it because I didn't pay those taxes because it was done by my HR department. I paid his unemployment.
Oh,
Hmm.
is there a way of recouping that without you would have to resort to legal action or what?
Yeah, I would have to do something and it'd have to come back from Tennessee Department of Labor, and they wouldn't get their money back from him.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's not worth it. I mean, it was only like $40 a month that I paid, but still, I'm like, I'm not.
It's still a ripoff. But it was like it's not like it's still ongoing, right?
No,
There's
it
not
ended.
future claims or ongoing claims.
Well, yeah, it ended, after I sold the company. So I was still paying that stupid unemployment even after I sold the company.
Oh,
Isn't that
so it
great?
is ongoing. So now the new owners, did you inform the new owners that they have a $40 a month bill that they don't know about?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass that that on.
Yeah, that's
It's a
crazy.
write-off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Person that never worked here, we're paying for his unemployment. You're like a social security service, Adam.
Yeah. Feels like that.
Hey, I've got some bills you could pay for me since apparently you're in the business of helping people out.
Now in all fairness, though, it's stories like this, though, that make business owners want to deregulate, you know?
Yeah,
It's like, so it's like I can see I can see both sides of the problem. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk about that. But
No,
did you
please.
did you guys pre-vote, or did you vote on election day?
I voted weeks ago.
So you
Yeah,
pre-voted.
in Oregon, we get our ballots mailed to us.
Really?
And yep, they come in the mail, and we can either take them in person or drop them off in a Dropbox or whatever, or mail them in if we want to, but we're not doing that. We're going to make sure it goes in a box or is handed to somebody that we think actually works for, a government agency. So, yeah, the thing is that what it does is it allows everybody to vote. They don't have to worry about missing work, which is a huge problem for a lot of people. And they don't have to worry about getting to the polls and being turned away or being asked for various forms of identification that they were not told they would need in advance, or any other number of means of discouraging certain groups of people from voting if you don't want them to. You never have to worry about that. And I don't know how or why, but there's been literally no fraud based on the fact that people are filling out ballots and sending them in. It just doesn't happen. So it's just a win-win. And when I hear stories about people going to polls or, can't go because they're afraid they'll lose their job, or they go to polls and they're turned away, or they're rerouted, or they're asked for ID that they didn't, specific types of ID, I'm like, guys, this is a solved problem. Why are you doing this? It just seems crazy to me. But yeah, in our case, that's how we did it. We did it the same. And is that how you pre-voted also, Peter? Is it the ballot, the mail-in ballot?
We received our ballots by mail, but I dropped them off at City Hall.
Yeah, right. Same here.
So we don't have that. I mean, I think you can do an absentee voting and get something like that, but so we still had to go in, and it took about 45 minutes to do, and it was a lot and the only ID I had to show was a driver's license, just photo ID. It shows it was really me, which I think is fair. I mean, it's really me. But the thing I thought was interesting, well, there's a no candidate zone. You're not allowed to have candidates within so close to the polls. And one of the guys, he had this like Murph 2020 shirt, which is a CrossFit workout.
Oh, I know Murph.
Yeah. And the woman said, you can't wear a candidate shirt. And he's like, what are you talking about? This is a workout. It's like, oh, okay, no problem. But anyway,
Murph for president.
Murph for president. It was kind of funny. But then one of the things I thought was interesting was, so I come up or I give my thing and I come to the machine, and they put my information into the machine. Then before it's complete, on the right hand side, there's this portal that you can look into. It's got and it prints out on paper everything that I voted for. And it's for you to confirm that what you voted for was accurate. But the thing was, it was like reading a receipt. It wasn't like president, colon, here's the answer. It was like this convoluted. I'm like, I can't sit here and read through this again to make sure that this is exactly what I was. So I assumed that what I did, but I also thought, I guess it's not anonymous then, because I guess anybody can just know what you voted.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was it had your name on it as well?
It did not have my name on it, but you can't tell me that.
Right. You're standing there looking at it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that it didn't drop one of those numbers as my identification number on it.
Sure. Well, the other thing that bothers me about that is that I guess that's a benefit that they're double checking, but at the same time, can your equipment not scan little bubbles so accurately? That's weird to me.
Well, I mean, there's no
Because in the past, many years ago, we did have to do ballots here. Or no, sorry, we had to do the polls here. They didn't give us a receipt.
Yeah, I didn't get to take the receipt, but it rolled across the tape, showed me all the answers, and then when I said okay, then it rolled on, and it was blank, and you couldn't see it anymore.
And then they're like, "Hey, Adam voted for so and so."
Yeah. Well, some word will get out. People will know.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that part of it with the double checking mechanism.
Huh. Yeah, I guess it's done state by state, I guess.
Yeah, that's the part about voting that's so weird. I get that states want to control how they do their voting, but again, it goes back to the thing of, it's so weird to me that in Oregon nobody ever has to worry about missing a day of work to go vote and having a boss, get mad at him or whatever. And in other states, it's completely different. That is just one of the things about it that's a little weird to me. I understand it for local elections, but you would think the federal government would get involved in here's how we want people to vote for president, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But nope.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what do you think? Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think
Put a pin in this one.
You guys don't have any nifties? What about fishing? I see mackerel on the menu here.
Oh yeah, well, of course.
Talk to us. Talk a little bit about fishing before we sign off, Adam.
Yeah, let's sign off with it. We just talked about voting. We are not ending it this way.
And on a high note.
Yeah.
Well, so I spent some time in Belize fishing, and then I spent time in Aruba fishing, in which I had a really good time. I mean, anytime fishing, but I caught lots of good fish. We ate fish for dinner. But what this actually was talking about was the mackerel. So in Belize, they have these little tins. So I was looking for sardines, and in the same section as sardines as they have the mackerel, and they have spicy and regular, and so I really like the spicy. But they are, it's weird. So the mackerel, they chop the head off, they chop the tail fin off, and they gut it. But you just eat the whole darn thing. Their their bones and everything are just
they're little, right?
Oh yeah, they're little.
So you just swallow the whole thing whole? Or
Yeah,
did you chew into it?
Yeah. Well, you chew it. You
just swallow it, or do you chew it? No, I just like.
Well, I was thinking about if you just swallow it whole, you don't have to worry about the bones.
Yeah, but their bones are. I mean, the bones are in there. They're just. They're
so
still
small,
so small and cartilaginous, but
Wow.
But they're really good. I actually found some in the States, but they're not as good as what I found in Belize. They are they're not spicy because we don't do the spices like they do in the middle. But then so fishing, have you ever eaten snook?
No.
I don't think so.
So snook is it's typically a southern part of the United States, really like it's got to be really warm, like southern parts of Florida, close to the Keys. But once you get down there near Central America, there's a lot of those, and those are really good. And then we had snapper too, and it's like, it's fantastic. So what's funny is my buddy, he didn't really eat the fish. He just likes to catch the fish. He didn't eat them as much as I do. He's like, well, now I know that fish can be good. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about
it can be good.
Yeah. Did I tell you about my catfishing story in Alabama? So in Alabama, they have these catfish, and they're big. They get big, and they're called sailfin catfish because if you look at them, they've got one dorsal fin, and then up at the top of it, it kind of looks like a little flag, so it kind of looks like a sail fin, like a sailboat. And native Alabamians, if that's a word, they don't eat them. I caught some down there, and my buddy's friend was there, and I said, oh, I caught was the sail fin, and he said, oh, we don't eat those. So
did they tell you why?
That's what I asked. I said,
yeah, before you take your bite.
why don't you eat those? He said, I don't know. He said, I'm fourth generation here. We don't eat those. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I won't eat them. Well, I thought,
what do these people
been
know?
going on for years. I've caught lots of those fish and just let them go. And finally I was like, I can't believe it's a catfish. I mean, what could be bad about it? So we're going to eat some. And so we got out there, and it was one of those days where the catfish were everywhere and big. So, I mean, we timed it within a minute and a half from the time you cast, you were pulling a catfish in the boat, and they were big catfish.
Wow.
And I'm like, we cut them up, we cooked them, we ate them. They tasted great. we didn't get sick, but they
I was going to
tasted,
say, how long ago was this? You seem to be healthy.
yeah, they seemed to be just like regular catfish, and
Huh.
and they
That is
were
weird.
really good. So we went to Aruba, and I ran into a guy, the fishing guide there, who took me out fishing. I talked to him. I told him that story. He said, "Well, I know why they don't eat the catfish." I said, "Well, why? Tell me." He said, "Well," he said, "I know why they don't do it here in Aruba." He said, "Because in Aruba they would a long time ago. They've learned since, but they had the latrines toilets just sitting over the water, so they'd go to the bathroom, and the fish that they saw eating the waste was always the catfish. So they didn't want to eat the catfish because the catfish was eating the poo, and so that's why they don't eat the catfish."
You
And I'm like,
don't want your fish fertilized.
so now, now I can understand why they don't eat the catfish. But the
Oh,
catfish is eating the poo all the time. You just don't
yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
He's all
that's right. But it also tells you about something that people in Alabama are doing in their little rivers. That's funny that you had to go to Aruba to find out why the people in Alabama. That is hilarious to me.
So now we have a free reign on a whole lot of catfish to eat whenever we're down there, because nobody down there eats a catfish.
That is hilarious.
So, on another potentially high note, I'm gonna leave.
It can't be higher than catfish eating the poo.
Well, it's a potential. What I have is a future potential nifty. Now, I don't know
okay.
how nifty it is yet because I haven't actually used it. But have either of you guys heard of Homebridge?
Yep, I used to use it, and at a future date when I'm not hijacking your story, I'll tell you why I don't use it anymore. But that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm curious. But anyway, as we know, I recently had heat pumps installed at my place in Vermont, and they do not interface with Homebridge. So they buy they use the
With HomeKit.
Kumo Cloud app, which I have.
Yep.
But I want automation. I want to say, when I leave the house, turn the heat down or whatnot, right? Or maybe even something like when I cross the Vermont-New Hampshire border, turn the heat up, so when I'm heading home or something like that.
The authorities are going to be able to know where you're at based on what your heat pump is doing.
Probably. There's other ways they could find me though too. They could just ask. Anyway, so because there's no way to do that natively, I looked into Homebridge, which apparently has excellent Kumo cloud support. So I grabbed one of my little old spare Datto Alto 2s and threw Linux on there and followed the very simple install instructions and gave myself Homebridge. So the reason it's a preview is I'm in Massachusetts and the heat pumps and the needed Homebridge are up in Vermont. So
right now the heat pumps are playing a tune as they go up and down and up and down.
Exactly.
So Homebridge is probably perfect for that. I think that's a great use for Homebridge. The reason I quit using Homebridge was because I was primarily using it for a couple cameras, including a doorbell camera that I had at the time that were not HomeKit native. And it is way too laggy for cameras. By the time you can see what's going on, the person has already given up and gone home for the day. It's like, no good at all. No good at all. If you want to see what your neighborhood looks like, it's perfect. If you want to see what's happening in real time, it's nowhere near good enough.
Got it.
But for something like what you're talking about, yeah, that sounds like a really good application for that. Because I do believe in Homebridge as a concept. I just found it useless for cameras.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It makes me wonder, like, what other smart utility, or smart devices and things that I have that aren't HomeKit enabled that might work with it. But I haven't dug into that just yet. So that's that. And then on a parting note, wish me luck, guys. I'm running my longest race of the year. I'm running a half marathon this Sunday. The goal is just to finish. I'm not looking to set any speed records and stuff because I haven't really been training for speed, but it should be fun just the same.
Can you do that with your funky cuff?
Just going to ask that.
Well, I'm going to be running on my feet, not on my rotator cuffs.
Yeah,
so
but I don't know if you've ever run before or not, Peter, but you don't just run with your arm straight down at your side. I don't know if you know this.
He's going to run with one arm taped up.
Did you guys ever watch The Walking Dead?
Oh,
There
I
was
know
a
what it
yeah.
is, but
character.
no.
There was one character who was probably the most annoying character that survived more than like 3 episodes. But he would always run with his arms down by his sides. It was like I was like, is that? Oh, that's just bizarre. Anyway, so we'll see. But no, actually, in general, running makes my shoulder feel better. A little bit of movement and jostling is actually good for it. I think it gets the blood flowing and stuff. So.
Hmm.
Hopefully,
Okay.
it'll be feeling good for about 13 miles on Sunday.
Hope so.
Yeah. So, all right, gentlemen. Well, this has been a pleasure. I'm grateful to have you both here at once. And
Yeah.
Adam,
Same
why don't
here.
you take us out?
Okay. So, listener, you can give us feedback on our website at www.blurringthelinespodcast.com, or you can drop us a note there. Of course, you can find Peter at yogawithpeter.com, friendswithbrews.com. You can find me now at roaming Roan Lavender Farm as my primary target. And Scott, where can people find you?
You can just go to scottwillsey.com. Willsey.
We'll see.
Boom. Why don't we let Scott do the honors to take us out?
Oh, am I supposed to press something big red button?
That's it.